I feel like Mike Jordan, give me the rock and I'm scoring. Hey, came from the bottom, that's foreign. I swear that I'm up for the sun in the morning. Yeah, they know that we ain't the same. 402, we rap the game. I told them this ain't a game.
Oh, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Big League Chicago. I'm your host, Rick. And yeah, welcome to everybody. We already got Liam here in the chat. Liam, what's up, man? Thank you for joining Big League Chicago. And thank you, everyone who is joining us right now. It's a pretty exciting one here at Big League Chicago today. We didn't have the episode yesterday to give you guys our instant reaction for the Bears, but we are going to talk about the Bears. So let's go right into Bears breakdown. The Bears beat the Raiders 30-12. Second win of the season for the Bears, and it came against what some people were, going into week 7, we're calling a pretty good Raiders team, at least from what they had done in the previous weeks. They had beat the Packers, they had beat the Patriots, like they were doing pretty well. But the Bears came in and absolutely dominated the Raiders, and we'll get into the defense and all that. But the biggest story going into this game was the quarterback, Tyson Bagent. Obviously the backup to Fields, a guy who during the preseason was someone a lot of Bears fans really, really liked. A lot of Bears fans are saying, hopefully he gets the job over Nathan Peterman, over PJ Walker. We cut PJ Walker. We sent Nathan Peterman to the practice squad. We cut him. We re-signed him, practice squad, blah, 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 blah. We brought him up, and he was the backup today to Tyson Bagent. But Tyson Bagent, Division II football player, played quarterback at Shepherd University or Shepherd College, something like that. Division II. Someone who didn't really expect to be in the NFL. A lot of people would not have expected him to be in the NFL right now, especially starting a game. So honestly, after he came in for the Bears and for Justin Fields, who got injured last week against the Vikings, there was a couple drives he did really well. Obviously, he had the fumble. Obviously, he had the interception that both kind of sealed the fate of the Bears against the Vikings last week. But this game, he did pretty damn well. 21 for 29, 162 yards, which isn't, amazing, but he threw for his first touchdown to Deontay Foreman. He was a very efficient backup. And it's crazy because I think of myself as someone who is very, I guess, has those reactions to something good happening, and I'm just immediately like, yo, that's what we need to do, blah, blah. So I'm over here kind of thinking like Tyson Bagent's the guy, keep him in. Fields tried, blah, blah, blah. I am very much an overreactor, and especially when it comes to the Bears, especially when it comes to sports in general. So I'm over here just riding that high off of Tyson Bagent, right? So I want him to start next week. I'm very much on that level. Now, with Fields' injury, he had a dislocated thumb, he is questionable for next week. And there was a point being made on Part of My Take, the podcast, where if you're Eberflus, if you're Poles, and your jobs are basically, kind of on the line, more Eberflus and Getsy, you kind of want to ride this hot hand, right? You were able to score 30 points against a defense with Max Crosby, a pretty good defense in general from the Raiders. You were able to score 30 points on these guys with Tyson Bagent. And yes, the running game had a lot to do with it. We'll talk about a little bit about Deontay Foreman and Darrington Evans here in a bit. But you want to ride the hot hand because Tyson Bagent, for lack of big plays, was able to get the ball downfield, whether it was with the 162 yards he threw, handing it off, quick pitches, audibling at the line. He was able to get stuff done. And that's what you want out of a quarterback. Yeah, again, the 162 yards and 1 touchdown, not great, but 0 interceptions, right? I'm pretty sure the Bears didn't have any fumbles this game other than Nathan Peterman. He had fumbled the ball, I guess. Or was it a fumble or was it a incompletion, I think, when he came in to throw the Hail Mary there at the end of the second quarter. But not really that many turnovers from players. So you think of that, you think of Tyson Bagent, and you think of this guy who he is. He had some swag coming into this game. He was doing his little like, come on, like getting the crowd hype after a run. And you go, man, this is just a huge positive for the Bears. Being able to throw in their backup and dominating. Now, let's get to the running game, because the running game is pretty much what the Bears have been able to do right for 2 years straight. Last year with Fields rushing for over 1,000 yards, Khalil Herbert, David Montgomery, and now this year with Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson. Now you have them two out. You bring in Deontay Foreman, who was a healthy scratch for like 4 weeks, and 4 or 5 weeks. He came in and he was running the fucking ball like a madman. He had 16 carries, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he had 3 touchdowns total because he caught one from Tyson Bagent. So not only did he have his 2 rushing touchdowns, but he had a third one receiving. So huge day by Deontay Foreman. You had Darrington Evans as well. 14 carries, 48 yards, 3.4 average, like not bad at all. Now, the thing is with the numbers, purely looking at the numbers for Darrington Evans, he should probably be closer to 75, 80 yards rushing. The line, most notably, Borum had a couple penalties, holding penalties that negated a couple of big runs from Darrington Evans. What can you do about it? The Bears still won. They ended up winning. No big deal. They won the game. That's really all that matters at the end of the day. And that was probably one of the bigger issues on Sunday against the Raiders was the line. The O-line played pretty badly in the run game, which is not something that we say a lot about this offensive line. They're usually damn good in the run game. And that's the reason the Bears have been at or near the top in rushing yards per game in the NFL. That's just what they do well. The line obviously does that very well too. And so you don't really see that. You don't really hear that complaining, or at least a complaint, a critique, if you will, I guess, for the offensive line during the rushing game. But a couple big holding penalties negated some plays. Again, I think the Bears ended up scoring on a majority of those offensive drives where the Bears offensive line did get like a big holding penalty on a big play. Regardless, though, the offensive line did its job in the running game. They did its job in the passing game. And I feel like they kind of knew, in a sense, like, hey, second string backup quarterback, Tyson Bagent, first NFL start. Yes, he was in last week, but we really got to make it a point to make him like look good in a sense, I guess, just protect him, because if we're already downfield with a dislocated thumb and we get down this guy, we're going to go to Nathan Peterman. And it's, no disrespect to Nathan Peterman, but you don't want Nathan Peterman in a game unless it's like to kneel the ball or something like that, or in a late game sub where maybe we're up big, right? Something like that. But the offensive line did have a couple struggles there on holding penalties in the run game, and in the pass game, they were fine. A big credit, though, again, to Deontay Foreman, Darrington Evans running the ball extremely well, over 100 plus yards per, over total for both of them. And credit to them. We're going to bring Jack in. Jack is here. Jack, what's up, my guy?
Well, Bears Tuesday. Bears winning Tuesday, I guess.
Bears Tuesday, baby. So what did I was kind of talking about, obviously, the big story with Tyson Bagent. Not huge numbers from him, but he threw his first, NFL touchdown. He rushed for one last week, but he threw for his first this week. What did you like coming into this? I want to know what you thought about Bagent coming into this game, and then maybe like how you came away from this game after his performance.
Zero expectation.
I mean, you're honest.
Coming into it, I think being a guy that coming from D2, he's a chip on his shoulder, so you like to see that. And I think the true story was told. The way they were playing, they were play calling for Bagent versus Fields. I mean, it looked like a comfortable offense ran by a competent head coach and offensive coordinator that felt lethal at some points. And the reality is, because Bagent is a quarterback that is going to look at his checkdowns, he's going to try and get rid of the ball quicker rather than not trying to extend plays and make the most out of everything like necessarily Fields does. You kind of see why the Bears were offensively successful. And I think, the reality is I don't think Justin Fields is a check down quarterback. Will he ever?
Yeah.
Will he ever be a check down quarterback? Not at 24, 25, 26 years of age, at least at this point in time. So, but no, I mean, the biggest note on the page for me this weekend was how the offense was run and even lacking. I know Deonta, I think it was
Deontay
right?
Foreman, yeah.
Foreman was excellent, but it's a different offense than we've seen through the first seven games or whatever it's been, and a confident one is what we saw. And yes, Fields probably would have played well against a Raiders team that looked nowhere near inspiring and nowhere near impressive either, to be honest. But I guess it's nice to be throwing one in the win column, and when it's been over a year that you've won a game at Soldier Field, you gotta win a football game, and they thankfully they went and did that.
Yeah, and I know the Raiders don't look like a great team, but they were able to beat like the Packers and the Patriots. And yes, the Patriots especially, not a great win. But one of the big things too coming into this game was Devontae Adams, kind of in a sense being frustrated, complaining a little bit about the ball not being thrown to him. They threw the ball a lot to him, and he really wasn't able to do a lot against this defense. But yeah, still a great win by the defense. The defense held the Raiders to 235 yards of offense. This is not the defense we saw in weeks 1, weeks 2, weeks 3. Like, this is a completely different defense, and I don't know what happened. Like, was it the return of Jalen Johnson? Was it the return of Kyler Gordon? Like, all these guys, like, somehow they came back. I think that leadership also came back in that locker room, and all of a sudden they've been playing really well. Jalen Johnson had 2 interceptions today, or was it 3?
I think he had
2. Yeah, he had 2, and Tremaine Edmonds had the 3rd one.
Yes,
so he had 2
correct.
interceptions. He ran one back for a touchdown. I think that may have been his first pick 6 of his career. So this defense is playing inspired somehow. I don't know what the difference is from week 1 to now, and to be honest, the last 2-3 weeks, but they've been playing really, really well.
Well, I think, yes, all credit to the D. Phenomenal week. Then, reality. Yes, this is a Raiders team that has beaten, the likes of the Patriots and the Packers. But, this was Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell.
So, it's a little bit of a different. And, I think, Jimmy G is nothing special either, but he's a little bit of a better quarterback than potentially those 2 guys that were just named. But no, I think this is the most healthy the D has been all season long. With the additions, like you said, of Gordon coming back into the lineup and Jalen Johnson finally being healthy. Was Eddie Jackson was still out of the lineup, right?
He was still out of the lineup, I believe.
The defense continues to look good. Things make sense.
Yeah,
Eddie Jackson's on the sidelines. Things succeed. But no, I think also that early season distraction with Alan Williams or whatever the hell the guy's name was. That's not helpful. And, for a team that is usually defensively pretty sound, last year we kind of saw finally, with the trade of Roquan and with obviously the destruction of that defense from that playoff year. It hasn't been the same D. It won't be the same D. It's a middle average D, below average D. That is improving, but it was nice
describing
to see
me. What was that about?
I don't know about that, but maybe I guess it's up for you to share.
What's up, Tony? He called the win. He said.
No, it's just it is what it is. I think this is a 4-5 win team at max, and it's good to be able to get one at home at Soldier
Yeah.
Field, and I don't really know what to look of the Vikings loss. It was nice to see, I guess, the Vikings beating the 49ers on last night because again, it's another game the Bears were close into and had a chance to try and do something with a final drive. But I don't think this is a football team that goes anywhere and competes with 4 quarters of a banged up. I know 49ers are banged up, but I still don't think they compete with San Fran. But
yeah, that would be a tough one.
I don't know. I'm sure only football is lighting up the way this league looks, and there's so many different cards that are still in play. It's weird to think there's still teams that are 3-2, or was this week 7 or week 6?
Week 7.
This was week 7. So yeah,
yep.
Still got now we've got I think teams that have played at least 6 games, but I don't know. I don't know who they have this week.
They've actually got a Sunday Night Football appearance with the Chargers.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah. So
that one they're gonna get spanked. Like that. No, there's no honest. To be honest, I mean, the Chargers looked good versus and hung in with the Chiefs for 3.5 quarters. We couldn't. We already saw that, and we've already seen one Khalil Mack revenge game. I'm nervous to see another one.
That's very facts. Talking about the Chargers Sunday Night Football game, that one's gonna be fun to watch. Oh man, you were making a point. Yeah. So with that being said, I said earlier, Tyson Bagent made a start. Justin Fields is doubtful for Sunday Night Football against the Chargers. And obviously we don't know, we haven't seen so much film on this guy. We don't know. He's had one start and one, he came in for Justin Fields after he got injured. The defense for the Chargers is pretty stacked. And like you said, Khalil Mack revenge game. The Chargers kind of losing a lot though. Like they look like the Chargers that we all know and love. They always look really good. Herbert always looks like a great quarterback, then overthrows people and makes some really bad decisions, fumbles, things like that. You said they're going to get spanked, but what kind of score are you seeing for that game?
I see 2 quarters of competitive Bears football, and I see him losing. Herbert's healthy. I know Mike Williams is done for the year. Keenan Allen's been phenomenal. Tough weapons to stop.
Oh yeah.
Trying to think what number seems right to me. Maybe 35-21.
That's not too bad. That's not bad. That is something that I could absolutely see from the Bears. And that's if, the Bears are able to run the ball effectively like they have been. And, Tyson Bagent doesn't make those mistakes he made against the Vikings when he came in, right? If he's not fumbling the ball, if he's not, turning over the ball, which obviously you could say that about anybody. But if he's not making those mistakes, which keeps the defense out there longer against Herbert, yeah, man, that could be a score I can 100% see. And I mean, might even be a lot closer. It might be a three-point game. It might be 7-point game. I think it might be a little closer than that. What are you thinking of, I guess, the defense against this type of quarterback? Because we saw what, Herbert, but we saw what Mahomes did against his quarterback. But again, you talk about what happened with Allen Williams. This defense seems to be a little revamped, a little bit improved, a little bit more inspired.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's to be determined, in my opinion. I think yes, it was like I've already mentioned. It was O'Connell and fucking Brian Hoyer that they did this against, and so we need to see a strong performance from the secondary. I think it's finally nice to see Tremaine Edmonds pop up on the screen and be effective. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like the matchup. I know we
Yeah.
can talk about it, how the shit show that the Chargers have been. I just Eckler's getting healthy. I don't know where Foreman. It does look like I was looking up to see what the health of Foreman was. I know we're talking about defense, but I just don't know. I just don't like the Bears versus the Chargers.
And Eric said something in here too. He said that could be a win. Chargers probably may have a worse head coach than the Bears. Now, one of the biggest things that just irked me on Sunday was how Eberflus at the end of the second quarter basically had a 2-minute drill. He had like a minute 46, minute 45 left on the clock to go downfield. All 3 timeouts he still had, and he did nothing with those timeouts. He didn't take a timeout until after Bagent got sacked and after there was 9 seconds left on the clock. And he was probably still in Bears territory near or at midfield. And you got Staley on the other side with the Chargers really just going for it on every fourth down, even if he's at his own 2-yard line. He'll go for it on that fourth down. Like, that's who fucking Staley is for the Chargers. Has Eberflus coached himself into another season as the Bears head coach, or is it still kind of like also TBD, or in your eyes, is it done?
Take a hike.
Yeah. Now, is that you wanting to say that, or is that just like with what the recent performance has been? Like, what is that what you think? Like, I think either way, I think
right?
You
gotta if you're gonna give Ryan Poles a real chance at this, you gotta let him hire his own head coach.
Yeah.
I still think, even if Justin Fields looks good for the rest of the season and he comes back, I think that experiment is over. I think they're looking to move on and continue that long search for a franchise quarterback.
Yeah. And I was kind of thinking the same thing, man. Like, unless the Bears and Eberflus have some sort of like Detroit,
they turn
Lions,
around and if they make the playoffs, like,
that's
maybe his job's safe, but like,
exactly. If they have some sort of Detroit Lions like renaissance or something like that from last season, and they're able to win 11, 12 games somehow, they have to win almost every game from here on out and only lose once to get to at least 11. Then yeah, I mean, you got to look at that and be like, okay, because Dan Campbell last season, I was like, at one point, like week 7 or week 6 or something like that, I was like, yeah, get rid of him. Like, that's it. The experiment's over. Instead, what'd he do? He went on a 7-game win streak, is 5-2 this year, and has the Lions as one of the best teams in the NFC. So unless Eberflus does something like that, then yeah, I'm the same way. And Tony agrees too. No way, he's gone. I think Eberflus, needs to go too, because like you said, I think Poles needs to be able to pick that one head coach, stick with him, and then be like, okay, this is my head coach. I'm the one to blame, but at least I can say that that's the guy I picked, not not a defensive guy that he was stuck with when he signed on. So yeah, I don't know. I think he's gone too, unless there is some 180 flip for the Bears team. But the Raiders, like you mentioned too, like it was Brian Orr, it was Aiden O'Connell. They both had, I think, total of 3 interceptions. Josh Jacobs, though, 35 yards and 11 carries. Like, yes, they abandoned the run pretty early because of the way the game was going, but credit the rush defense too for that.
Fantasy nightmare. Josh Jacobs, nightmare. Led the NFL in rushing. Fucking what's he do this year?
Yeah.
Sucks. Just absolutely sucks, but that's all right. No, yeah. You saw the big boys get their job done, and exciting to see them kind of shut down the run game. I don't think in terms of the running backs, I got to look at the Green Bay game to see what I think Aaron Jones had a pretty statistical good game versus the Bears in those early weeks, but that week 1 game, I should say. But run wise, I think they've been okay-ish, medium. I got to re-familiarize myself to be completely honest on that one.
Yeah, but to me, like, dude, that defense it's just looking good, because I mean the Raiders didn't have a touchdown until garbage time. So if we're really looking at this game, the Bears kind of just let up 6 points. Yeah, they let up a touchdown, but again, garbage time, and they held up their own. They were able to stop the leading rusher in the NFL, like you just said last year. So impressive win on there, in the trenches there. Is Bagent the guy, Jack?
No.
Is Bagent the guy?
No.
I was saying earlier, I was like, I'm the kind of guy who sees something like that and then just like an immediate overreactor where I'm like, this is the guy. Like, I fucking loved it. Like, give the Bagent the ball next week.
I give a lot of credit to Bears fans, and I think they are passionate and loving and smart, but there's also a lot of Bears fans out there, and I'm not necessarily tossing you in there, Rick, but that are desperate and ready to just kind of jump at whatever's given to them as a lifeline. And do I think Bagent is a solid quarterback? To be determined. Do I think he's elite? No. Do I think he will ever be elite? Probably not. This isn't like a Brock Purdy. Yeah, Bill. I know we want him to be elite, but yes, Caleb Williams has lost. I think his last 2 games at USC, but I don't know. I mean, it sucks. It sucks to say, but it's a reset, refine, retool,
everything,
everything, but rebuild is what I want to say. But I think they're still finding themselves going through one. So hopeful that the Bears pull them out. A few more wins this year. I don't see them doing it versus the Chargers. I'm hopeful that it's a fun game to watch. All I ask for on Bears games at this point on Sundays and Mondays and the occasional Thursdays is for a 4-quarter football game that's watchable.
Yeah.
I haven't had that in a long time. So
then with that being said, Tyson Bagent has similar numbers next week against the Chargers, and they pull out a close win. Do you start Bagent week 9? Do you go with Fields, who's probably going to be back by then? Do you ride the hot hand, or do you go with your athletic starter who has shown that he's really good and shown that he is just not good some points?
It's the Vikings were 1-4 going into last week, I think.
Yeah.
They're going to leave this week now 3-4.
Mm-hmm.
Realistic now, kind of vaulted themselves into relevancy into the NFC. The Bears could do the same thing with 2 straight wins versus in potential, if they win versus, I know we've talked about Chargers are opening up as 8.5-point favorites. I think that's respectable and understanding. But
I think the Bears were home dogs this week too.
Is there a quarterback conversation? If you would have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go and win 2 straight games or however many ends up being with Fields being out, it's not supposed to be 4 because he didn't go on the IR. I think you got to have a conversation. It's one of those that usually does ring the or I guess nail the final coffin in that sense of his future, but I think that's where the Bears are kind of at this point.
No, I agree, and with the Chargers opening up like that, I think you need a bigger game from Tyson Bagent than what he did against the Raiders too. Because yes, the Raiders again had a couple wins. We're going into this game looking like the better team. Obviously, that's how the Bears are going into every week. The other team looks better than them, but they were able to beat them convincingly. And Tyson Bagent needs one of those games where he's passing for 250, couple touchdowns, not letting no turnovers again to really kind of almost become a problem, a good problem, I guess you would say, to Eberflus and Getsy and that entire staff there with the Bears. Because at that point, it's okay, we can start Justin with who just had a dislocated thumb, or we could go with this guy who, yes, Division II guy, undrafted, but he's doing really well. You know what I mean? 2 weeks in a row, he's got 2 wins, and he didn't turn the ball over, and he got his first touchdown, and he's even running the ball a little bit, right? Because even he said for the coaching staff going into this week, don't hold anything back as far as the playbook, which meant if you want to run the ball with me, just like you ran it with Justin, I'm not Justin by any means, but I'll fucking do it. Right. Like that was his attitude. And I don't know if you saw, he was like, he had that swag with him in the game. He was like doing this. He was like pumping up the crowd after a run. So I don't know.
Nice
For
little
me,
no-look pass too in there.
was there a little? No, I didn't even
was
notice that. I didn't even notice that. So you got a guy with swag too. I mean, and he's a fucking no one. You know what I mean? Like he's nobody coming in this league, and he's already got a win. But yeah, I think he needs something like 200, 250 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. If you throw an interception because, you know, maybe he's trying to make a play like he did against the Vikings to DJ Moore in that interception, you almost have to forgive that, and you almost have to take that with what he is and what he's doing. But if you get a performance like that, man, I think you ride the hot hand and you go, hey, Justin, let's work on another week of you and that thumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, get him healthy. Yeah, get him healthy. That's
yeah, it. Get him healthy. That is the name of the game right now. And the defense playing inspired, they need to do that. And just like Bill said here, the Chargers Charger in front of their home fans, that would be fucking great. That would be great for the Bears and Bears fans, because it's always, like you said, man, it's been over a year since the Bears got a home win. It was nice to get a win. Last year, we were literally tanking, and, you know, Tony Football on here was saying, like, I don't know why anybody wants us to win. We want that number 1 pick, and that got us DJ Moore at the end of the day, and a number 1 overall next year. So, but it is now that time where it's just starting to. You saw when we were starting 0-4, you saw Justin Fields in those post game press conferences just completely deflated from those losses. So it's nice to get a dub.
He blamed the fucking coaches.
Yeah,
coaches say, you know, he gets hurt, and what happens? You know, they go and they produce a semi-efficient offense.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's time to start looking, you know, it's seemingly with Chicago, it's been look everywhere else besides young Mr. Justin Fields, but eyes are on Fields all day. But we'll see. The Bagent story might roll on for another week, and you know, I very much look forward to it, and I'm very much excited to analyze a little more Bears football here on after a Sunday night game. But
yep.
You know where I think my confidence lies with that one.
Me and Jack, this is why I love Jack, because we're like polar opposites. Like I am just like someone who is like, I believe so hard that I think that alone is just going to make them get dubs. And Jack's like, no, man, you gotta calm down. He's the more realist of the duo here. So we both, you know, but knowing Jack, he probably came into this, like you said, 0 expectations, came out with a win. That's a win for me too. You know what I mean? As the guy who's like, I know the Bears suck, but I'm still going to root for those wins. And Eric said here, we need to see him face adversity, talking about Bagent and the Bears. Yes, 100%. And I think this Chargers defense, who I think held the Cowboys to like 20 points or something like that, or 27, they're going to be a defense that's going to definitely give Bagent and the Bears some adversity. So we're going to see how they can, navigate that. Bill said he has to bounce. Thanks, Bill, for stopping by. But you said Chargers going to win Sunday Night Football. The entire world is going to watch that. Obviously, you can catch that on Only Football. We're going to be live streaming the game and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think the entire world will be watching that. That's what I'm going to tell you.
It's going to have the highest ratings of all Sunday Night Football all time. That's
Taylor
what's going to
Swift's
happen.
not there. They're screwed.
We need Bagent to date Taylor Swift, bro. That's what we need to get going. Imagine the confidence on a Division II NFL quarterback.
17 friendship bracelet.
Yeah, there you go. Why can't a Bears player ever do that? Like, why can't a Bears player, like, I know Brian Urlacher at one point like dated Paris Hilton when she was at her peak, but it's like nothing else like that happens. You know what I mean? I just wish once we were on the big screen for like positive shit instead of just like insult stats from the Bears. But
you got a point there, my friend.
Yeah. So we'll see how that Bears game goes. I'm hoping for a win. Jack is just like probably not going to be a win. The entire world is going to watch it. I know the entire world is going to watch it. Jack doesn't think 20 million people are going to watch it.
All right. Yes. No, I do not think the Bears are going to win, but it also sets your expectations. And Chicago sports have set a certain expectation that we are a fantastic city with mediocre sports teams and below subpar sports teams, and that's the reality of the situation right now. But it doesn't mean we won't be here to deliver you a big league Chicago week after week for 17 straight, at least, weeks of Bears football.
Damn right. You're damn right. Now let's move on to really the talk of Chicago sports, I think, in general. The Blackhawks, man. The Blackhawks and Connor Bedard, like, they are an expensive ticket. I'll tell you that much right now. I'm over here in Washington, and I'm trying to get to a Seattle Kraken game when the Hawks are over here, but they're expensive, even in the upper levels. So the Hawks coming into this game against the Bruins, 2-4, which you had them at maybe one win, and they did beat Montreal. So that's the one you had predicted.
They lost to Montreal, actually.
Oh, who did they take the win then?
They beat Pittsburgh, who I didn't see that happening.
Yeah,
but, that happened, and they put an inspiring performance together on the Toronto ice surface and beat the Maple Leafs.
That's who it was. And then we had
got the shit kicked out of them by Colorado. That's 5-game road trip, 5 nights. But sorry, continue. I
was gonna say Connor Bedard got his first point in his first game against Sidney Crosby in that season opener. Got his first goal the next game. We had a chat going. I was like, he's going to score 3 today with how quickly he scored that. I think it was like a minute 40 into the game. He scored his first goal, which was amazing. He's got, I think, 2 goals, right? 3 assists.
Correct. So he was able to light the lamp for early again on Saturday night at the home opener versus Vegas. And good, they've got power play shot, low, beat them blocker between the blocker and pads, beat them just under the glove and pads, beat them just under the glove. Yeah,
and then they've got a match against the oldest team in NHL right now, the Boston Bruins. Or is that Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh is the
okay.
If you're talking about in terms of average age, Pittsburgh.
Like
30 something, which is it's pretty wild, but.
So maybe that's why they beat him. They just had Connor Bedard bringing the fucking average age of the Hawks down to like 23 or something. But what do you think is going to happen in this game? And what do you think of the Hawks so far? 2-4 this season, Jack.
2-4. I think the goaltending has looked phenomenal. Arvid Soderblom and Peter Mrazek have done everything in their possible way to not try and let this team be 2 games below 500, potentially 3 by the end of the night, likely 3 by the end of the night. And I know where you think I'm heading on this one, but Eric, just if you feel that way, just turn it off and we'll talk to you here a little bit later, man. It's okay. We know where you stand on that. But don't let him lose my train of thought.
Talking about 4.
And Taylor Hall today did go on the IR. He banged up his shoulder in that Boston game last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and then left the home opener a little bit early in the third, and that would be kind of all he had. So he's on the IR, and they'll kind of go week to week, is what Luke Richardson has said. But no, as I was saying, Arvid Soderblom, Peter Mrazek have been good.
Yeah.
The power play looks lethal. It hasn't scored as much as you would assume and expect, but you're seeing positive signs out of the power play that just kind of looked just lost and really undeveloped last year. A lot
of shots on goal from them too.
Yep. No, and that is what's going to happen. And I think that's where you look at people and you see Leo Collison, the other who went third or who went second. Behind Bedard, he scored in his first game. There's a lot of pressure on this Bedard guy. Ross the Boss Matthews from Slash Out Podcast doesn't seem to think it's too much pressure. I personally, I'm not loving all of it, but the kid's handling it well. He's going to be in the correct scoring positions. He's going to score. I think he's good for at least 80 points, and he's going to be in the right spots, and the goals will come and the assists will come. He's going to play the power play minutes. I don't necessarily love. I think he's going to be playing with Foligno and then Tyler Johnson, which we'll see how that ends up affecting. Tyler Johnson, a Stanley Cup winner in Tampa, and nothing against him, and he's a hard worker and great player, but from where the Hawks were coming in and hopeful that Hall and Bedard and potentially Donato or potentially some of these other guys would step in, where you've got Foligno, who's a savvy vet and a guy who's paid a big ticket to come over to Chicago from that trade with the Bruins, but not the necessarily most elusive teammate to have next to one of the more elusive guys in the league, being Connor Bedard. But if he can hit the net, his shot is lethal. And he'll make Blackhawks games fun to watch. There's no doubt about that. And I think tonight will be a fun one. I get a little worried about where the scoring is going to come from. You're starting to see it. I think they had a little bit of Reece Johnson scored in the home opener, which was fun and exciting. Bernard got one, but some defensive laps to start the third period, and Vegas took an early lead coming out of the dressing room and just kind of cruised from there. And that was kind of all she wrote for the home opener. And Boston is seemingly, they've got a chip of their shoulder after being swept, or not swept, but losing 3 straight in the first round last year, and they've lost and had a little bit of turnover, losing their captain, but they've come out with a spirited effort so far this early in this season. So I get a little worried that the Bruins might beat up on our Blackhawks tonight, but enough so to say I'm in the NHL is doing this frozen frenzy type thing, the NFL Sunday ticket of hockey. Excuse me.
I did notice that, yeah.
And so I've got that in the background. So I've got a little six play parlay going, and it's been actually kind of fun to watch. They've started every game every 15 minutes except for one due to something out of God's hands, or in God's hands, I should say. But it's good for the NHL. That's where Ross has been a big point on Bedard of marketing him and having him be the future of the league has been that they are marketing these young guys, and they want them to be the new faces. And it took to October 24th for guys like Ovechkin to get his first. The Edmonton Oilers look like shit. There's lots to talk about in the hockey world, and for any of you guys excited and ready to listen, we'll have a nice, exciting. I think we'll be sitting down tomorrow to record our next podcast for the Slot Shot Podcast, a hockey podcast.
Hell yeah, let's go. And Ross over there, we've had Ross on Only Football, talking some Patriots.
He was pleasantly. Patriots he was. I don't know how he feels. I know he had money on the Bills.
Yeah. And they won. Yeah, they beat them.
And the Pats won. So I don't know. I think he's probably excited that Bill Belichick got his whatever the most wins or whatever the hell he got. But I don't know how his pockets are feeling after a Bills loss on that Sunday.
I need y'all to go and make sure to listen to the Slot Shot podcast, because it's a good time. It's a good time hearing you guys with Ross, you and Alex. It's a good time. So what do you think? Obviously all the hype is Bedard, and you mentioned Soderblom earlier because he's 24. Like, he's a young guy. He's over from Finland, Sweden, something like that. Like, he's
Soderblom?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sweden.
So he was here last year with the Hawks, right?
He's been up and down the last few years. He was around a little bit when Fleury was here.
Yeah.
He is. They drafted Camesso from BU, who is playing in the American League, the AAA of the NHL this season for the first time, and so he left college, which was surprising. I think he still had a few years of eligibility, but I think there's a little bit more rested in his future and his stock of being that future goaltender for the Blackhawks. But otherwise, they drafted another guy with Bedard's draft class that Has
Oh
some
yeah, they
potential.
did. So then is Soderblom kind of like somewhat of a stopgap between now and until those guys are able to come up, or is Soderblom kind of like a legitimate contender for being the goalie for the Hawks in the future?
I think there's talks. There's thought that he could be the future guy, but
Yeah.
I think they won't be hesitant to look at all options in all scenarios as they get ready to drop the puck at the UC with, it looks like it's okay. Kershaw's playing tonight. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah.
What do you think about because there was also a lot of talk too about Korchinski. What do you think about Korchinski? I mean,
He's looked good
he's
so far. Him
yeah,
and Vlasic have looked good.
yeah.
Kaiser's been taking. Wyatt Kaiser, another defensive blue liner, has taken some more penalties than he probably has wanted to. But
Mhm.
no, Alex Vlasic has looked good. He's seen the ice well and has seemingly set up a few goals via the pass, and that's been exciting to watch. And then I think Korchinski, there's been confidence building there, and
Mhm.
I think they'll keep him. I think Korchinski will see more time than Vlasic in the NHL, but
Mhm.
when Vlasic's 6'6" and Korchinski's 6'2" or whatever it is,
Yeah.
both sizable guys. Korchinski's still a twig. He needs
Yeah.
to grow a little bit before he can really cement himself in this league. But
Mhm.
I think they're quietly impressed with what the rookies have brought so far this year.
I was we were watching the season opener when it was the Penguins and the Blackhawks,
Mm-hmm.
and I was watching in the living room. My wife goes, "Wait, is that the Bedard guy?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "He looks like a child." I'm like,
He's small.
"Yeah,
He is
he's
small.
a
I don't
small
think
dude."
people. Yeah, people don't realize how small he is. I mean,
Yeah,
they say he's 5'10". He's maybe 5'9", 5'10", maybe
yeah.
5'10". If you want to be generous, but he is not the largest guy in the world. There's no question about that.
No, not by any means. But this is kind of like going into the whole like we have to update our team to match the league and use that swiftness, that quickness is like teams are getting now. So I guess with the surprise of the team so far at 2-4 and how much they've been shooting, how good they look on the power play, are you gonna up your win total at all from your predictions earlier for this
What
Blackhawks team?
what I say? Do you remember?
Not really, but I think you had them at like probably like 45, 50 losses, something like that.
Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah, you're still there. You don't think they can get to 500 at all?
No, not 500. Do they make it closer? They 400 percentage is something. Well, 450 maybe is a good percentage for them this
Alright.
year. I know that's not 50%, but
Yeah.
it's closer than what it has been. I don't know. There's still going to be the gaps, and
Yeah.
health is going to become an issue, and
Mhm.
people are starting to be looking at this team as sellers at the deadline, and that's what they are, and they're rebuilding. That's the reality of it. They're near 2 of 5.
Who's probably the one they're going to sell on, you think?
Foligno's on a 1 year. Perry's on a 1 year.
Yeah.
Who else is on a 1 year? There's a few other guys that I'm blanking out right now, but the veterans,
Those
the
big
pieces.
guys.
Well, yeah, nothing. And these are guys that they've looked okay. If they can get a second or a third, I think they'd be pretty happy on the returns. They're both two guys that they needed to give money kind of away, so they signed up for, I think $4 million, pretty much equal to Perry and Foligno. Anthony Seo could get some interest at the deadline. He's looked good. He's had a good jump.
True. And I mean, the Hawks have a lot of picks for the next draft. A ton of picks. They're almost like the Bears, really. They got just a ton of picks next draft.
It's a sense where Hawks fans, you just got to be patient. You got to know it's coming, and the guys that they took in this year's draft that are playing college look good. They're taking the steps that I think development are hoping for, and you just got to keep for the positives to keep coming, and it's prospect watch. It's all it is, and I think the city of Chicago is quite familiar with the performances of the teams here in the city.
We just need Connor Bedard to win a few more face-offs, maybe not have.
We do.
We're so used to Taze, man, winning everything.
Oh yeah, there's some truth to that. There's talk. The Kane saga should he's still a free agent, but
That's true.
he should be signing. They said they'll really be expressing and trying to work stuff out with his agent, and we'll start working stuff out here in the next few weeks and try and hammer something
Oh
out
shit!
by the middle of November.
Wow.
I'd expect them to be on a team before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. All right, Jack, you got anything else on the Hawks before we get out of here?
I don't.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all the Hawks talk from Jack. It's going to be an exciting season for the Hawks, man. I think so. Just watching Connor Bedard in general is going to be fucking exciting.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. The kid can move. The kid can score. The kid can dazzle. So it'll be interesting to watch the face-off percentages. It's the first thing that's popped up on the video board, not the video board, the TV, but it has not been what he'd hoped. But everyone struggles as a rookie, especially in the face-off dot. So I think he probably spent some time working on that, if I had to guess.
For sure. Well, he can only go up from here. I mean, right? So I mean, let's be honest with that. But all right, Jack, thanks again for coming on. Thanks again to everybody who was in the comments tuning in. Appreciate you guys. You could follow us at Star 6 Media on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Facebook, and at _Star 6 Media on Twitter. Go follow me at And Now Rick on Twitter. Jack, where can they follow you on Twitter?
At Siffy Man. Appreciate the follow. Happy to chat, debate, discuss. Argue. I'll be there.
Make sure you guys go tune into Slot Shot podcast. They're just bringing you hockey every week, and it's mostly going to be Bedard talk.
I wish I could guarantee you that one, Rick. But when you got the character that you've got in Rusty, and, the Homer of Alex in the Detroit fandom of Alex. It's just you never know what you're going to get on the Slot Shot podcast, but I appreciate you,
of course,
doing it. So perfect. All right. Well, I thought it was a good episode, and I appreciate you letting me hop back in. I'll let you close her on out.
All right, man. Thanks again for hopping on. Thanks to everybody again to who tuned in and checked out Big League Chicago. Go follow us, like I said, on all the social media sites. Go follow me on Twitter at @NowRick, and we will see you guys next time. See ya!